Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
A top PAHO official reacts to those shocking NCD statistics.
The owner of Compass Point says he would close shop if the F&M is reelected. What the hotel licensing chair has to say about his concerns. BPL load shedding again.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joachim. Topping news tonight, after a political threat to shut down shop in the Bahamas if the F&M wins the next general election, Compass Point owner Lee Rodney is said to have his hotel license renewed. This as the Hotel Licensing Authority chairman says things didn't have to get this far if the hotel owner had simply complied.
He just has to follow the process. It is what it is. We have a responsibility to the persons who are staying in the hotels, whether foreign guests as well as domestic. That's and we have the mandate. And he doesn't want to follow the rules, but there's a cost for that as well.
In an ad placed in the Tribune on Tuesday, Compass Point owner Lee Rodney from Detroit, Michigan, blasted the F&M administration and the way business is done in the country, saying, "If the F&M wins the next election without acting upon the promise they made when they were elected 2 years ago, the Compass Point owner does not want to continue to do business in this country and will therefore close his business." That's 60 jobs, he said, that would disappear. In an interview with the National Guardian, Rodney said he wants a meeting with the government to discuss how hotels are regulated in the Bahamas. But Hotel Licensing Authority Chairman Ethan Adderley told our News Rodney is set to have his hotel license renewed now that he finally became compliant with what was required.
So his concerns weren't directly related to our department, but he wanted to use them and become non-compliant and leverage so we can address them. And as a matter of courtesy and ease of doing business in the Bahamas, we will agree to write on his behalf to help him out. But we asked him to be compliant with the act like we asked all hotel operators to be. It was a bit back and forth. Mr. Rodney eventually saw the wisdom, or the error of his ways, I should say, and he complied.
Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar said Rodney's ad was a threat to the Prime Minister and the people of the Bahamas, particularly the portion about letting go of his 60 employees if the F&M is reelected. In that ad, Rodney said the Compass Point owner is not interested in making this a public spectacle. He is not running for office. He simply wants to make some positive changes that will benefit everyone in the Bahamas. Adderley said a lot of the demands the Compass Point owner made didn't come before the Hotel Licensing Authority, but even as he made those demands, he himself didn't seek to rectify issues on his end.
There were things, proper signage, which is concerned safety issues. For instance, there's no lifeguard on duty there, so I'd want signage to be in place to notify the guests. And these are standard stuff that all properties, depending on a certain sizes, would comply with. See the wisdom in doing that. Proper tiling in places, replacement of tiles, safety issues for his staff and things like that. And so I said he didn't want to comply with those things because he said, as far as he considered, they were frivolous compared to his other concerns.
According to Adderley, the Compass Point owner was only without the hotel license for a short while, but was scheduled to be granted the license at the next board meeting. He said in the Compass Point owner's case, it's simply a matter of respecting the process in the Bahamas.
Things like I don't get into the operations of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Mr. Rodney has a different mindset, unlike a lot of persons coming to the Bahamas to operate and understanding the processes and respect them.
Bahamas Power and Light consumers left to deal with load shedding yet again. Residents have complained of frequent outages that occur hours at a time. Well, POP leader Philip Davis during a news conference said the matter is now a crisis.
What you have in there is chaos. They're shooting from the hips. All they're doing is putting a Band-Aid on wounds when they ever appear in the operations of BPL.
Communities on New Providence have been rocked with hours-long periods of blackouts as part of BPL's load-shedding exercises due to its inability to meet consumer demand. Over the weekend, BPL conducted nearly 4-hour-long load-shedding exercises, which continue today. Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Paul Maynard has said New Providence is experiencing a power crisis. Davis agrees.
I believe the union leader. They're the ones. They are the nuts and bolts of the operations, not the minister who's sitting in some ivory tower when his lights off. Yeah.
A country in health crisis. That's how the Pan American Health Organization country representative for the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos responded to recently released stats that showed that more than 70% of deaths in 2016 were caused by non-communicable diseases. Jasmine Brown has more.
Dr. DeGorville says, put simply, the situation is not only a crisis, it's also depressing.
I would call it a crisis.
Dr. DeGorville says while Bahamians are expected to live longer, they will spend at least a decade battling non-communicable diseases.
We see in the Bahamas, life expectancy has increased. It's now 71, I believe, for men and 77 for women. But at the same time, the statistics show that 11 of those years are going to be spent in illness because of the increase in non-communicable diseases.
According to World Health Organization stats, NCDs accounted for 74% of deaths in the Bahamas in 2016. Nearly 1,800 people in the Bahamas died from NCDs that year, 890 men and 888 women. 2012 statistics from the WHO showed the situation was also bleak that year, when NCDs accounted for 72% of deaths. Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands has said there has been a tsunami of NCD-related deaths in the Bahamas. Dr. DeGorville agreed, as she insisted the Bahamas is one of the unhealthiest nations in the world.
That's a very, very depressing situation. You have the dubious honor of being the most overweight people in the region of the Americas.
Dr. DeGorville says what is even more tragic is the fact that many of the deaths are completely avoidable. As she insisted, turning the tide will take serious lifestyle changes.
Clearly, with this high level of non-communicable diseases, which are considered for the most part to be preventable, we need people to focus on prevention. Prevention in the form of improving nutrition, prevention in the form of increasing physical activity, decreasing the use of tobacco and cigarettes, and decreasing the consumption of alcohol.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Following several delays, government is set to sign a $3 million contract for the implementation of Macro Alert this month. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis made the announcement while speaking at the official opening of Rollville Police Station in Exuma today.
The implementation of Macro's alert system to provide a secure and reliable network to disseminate information to the public at a cost of $3,053,925.28. It always bothers me and have me wondering how they come to 28 cents. But 28 cents is there. The contract signing for this will take place in 2 weeks.
The system is expected to be similar to the U.S. Amber Alert, which is a voluntary partnership involving law enforcement agencies, broadcasters, transportation agencies, and the wireless industry to activate an urgent bulletin in serious child abduction cases. The alert was named after 11-year-old Marco Archer, who was murdered in 2011. Well, journalists mourning the loss of industry veteran Colin Trotman, who died this morning. Trotman, who served as Assistant General Manager of Production and Parliament at the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, became a fixture at ZNS over the past 40 years. Today, his former colleagues paid tribute to him. Caden Adley has that.
It was early this morning that family members, friends, and loved ones received devastating news on the passing of a figurehead, respected producer, and loved one.
Stunned. That'd be the best thing I could say, stunned.
To say I was stunned is probably an understatement. You expect death, that's an inevitability, but you never expect the good ones to go.
Bahamian journalists in shock after waking up to news that their former colleague, Colin Trotman Jr., had passed away. We're told Trotman reported for work Tuesday, but eventually left after complaining that he did not feel well. Trotman, who served as the AGM of television production, with the responsibility for the parliamentary channel at the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, was 1 week shy of celebrating 41 years at ZNS. Friends, family members, and co-workers paid tribute to Trotman on social media, saying, his contribution to the advancement of television media in the country has been remarkable, indelible, and unforgettable. And others who developed a bond with Trotman described him as a big teddy bear who always gave a word of admiration or encouragement. Words of encouragement that former ZNS anchor Jerome Sawyer could attest to.
No matter how difficult the work would seem, he would always be the one to say, hey, good story, or good effort, or good broadcast, or hey, keep up the good work, buddy.
Friend and colleague Vaughn Aubrey said, Trotman's strong work ethic will be missed in the industry.
A person like Colin Trotman would have filled every position, but coming up today, persons say, I am an audio man, and you don't do cameras, or you do not edit. Colin Trotman filled all of those roles.
Aubrey, who retired from the corporation earlier this year, spoke on Trotman's adoration for production and the way they both have learned since Trotman began working there in 1978. He said Trotman's ability to learn all the different skills in production showed that he has always been willing to give his best. And Marcellus Hall says Trotman was an inspiration to others in the industry.
Whenever I take on a task, say I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities. That way, if anything happens, I can say, well, I gave it my best shot. And I can't look back and say, well, if I maybe do this or maybe that, because he just taught me to put whatever I had 110% into it.
Reporting for our news, I'm Caden Adderley.
All right, thanks, Kate. And still to come, the Rollville community in Exuma gets a new police station. Plus, the F&M chairman slams the PLP's plans for a no-confidence vote. Stay tuned.